set up the game of Monopoly Deal, first set up the game area. To do this, first remove the rule cards and any other promotional cards from the deck and set them to the side. Shuffle the remaining cards and place them face down in the middle of the playing area. After setting up the game area, set up each player's area. Each player will be dealt 5 cards. They may look at these cards, but should keep them secret from other players. Each player will also be given one of the rule cards. If there are not enough for all players, they may share. Make sure each player has space in front of them to place cards later. After setting up the game area and each player's area, the game is ready to begin. To play the game of Monopoly Deal, each player will take turns playing cards and stealing cards from other players, trying to gain full sets of properties. To begin, a starting player is established, and play will continue in clockwise order. Each player's turn will consist of 3 steps. The first step of each player's turn is to take cards and add them to their hand. If a player has any amount of cards already in their hand, they will always take 2 cards. If a player starts their turn with no cards in their hand, they will draw 5 cards. When they have finished taking their cards, they will move into step 2 of their turn. A player may play up to 3 cards during their turn, so they may play 0, 1, 2, or 3 cards. There are 3 types of cards a player may play: money cards, action cards, and property cards. Money cards come in several different values. When playing money cards, a player will always place them in their bank area. Each money card is worth the value printed on the card and will help them pay other players during the game. Players should build up their bank with money before playing property cards, because without money, other players can easily take their properties. Property cards are another type of card. When playing property cards, a player will always sort them by color. There are 2 types of property cards: basic property cards and wild property cards. Basic cards will simply be placed in a player's collection area. A property wild card with 2 colors on it may be used as either color or the other. A player will simply decide which color they want face up. During the game, a player may switch a 2-sided property wild card as needed. The other type of property wild card may be used as any property type and may also be moved around during the game as needed. Action cards are the 3rd type of card that may be played. Action cards can be used in one of 2 ways. The first option is to discard the card and follow the rules printed on the card. The second option a player has is to play their action card as money by placing it in their bank. Each action card has a value in the corner. That is the amount of money that card will be worth. Anytime an action card is placed in the bank, it will remain as money for the rest of the game. There are several different action cards used in the game. Let's take a look at these cards. When a player plays a pass-go card, they will draw 2 cards from the top of the draw deck and add them to their hand. Debt Collector lets a player choose one other player in the game and force them to pay them $5 million. It's My Birthday forces all players to give you $2 million. Whenever a player is forced to pay another player, they may either use money from their bank or they must pay with their properties. Each property has a money value in the top left corner that a player can use to pay. Any money paid to another player will go into their bank and not into their hand, and any properties used to pay will go into the player's collection. No change is ever given in the game, so if a player owes $2 million and only has $10 million, they must pay the full $10 million. If a player does not have enough to pay the full cost, they will pay what they have. And if they have nothing in their bank or their collection area, they are not forced to pay anything. Players will always only pay with cards they have played in their player area, not cards from their hand. There are also 2 types of rent action cards. These are also used to force other players to pay you money for the properties you own. A rent card with 2 different colors on it allows a player to choose one of the 2 colors and force all players in the game to pay them rent for that color. So if a player played a rent card and used the pink side, they would count the pink properties they have in their collection. Each card has a rent chart on it that tells the amount of rent that is owed. So this player has 2 pink cards, and each player would owe them $2 million. The other type of rent card allows a player to choose any color property in the game, but they will only charge one player in the game rent. Rent is paid in the same way, either using banked money or property cards to pay. A player may also play a double the rent card at the same time they play their rent card. This allows them to charge players double whatever the normal rent amount would be. Players should keep in mind that they may not play a double the rent card if it will put them over the max amount of 3 cards they can play during their turn. A house action card is a special type of action card. Instead of discarding this card to use its action, a player will place a house over a full set of properties. A house will add $3 million to whatever the rent value is for those properties. Each card will tell the amount of cards needed to make a full set on the rent chart. So the pink properties need 3 cards for a full set. Only one house is allowed per full set of properties. A hotel is another type of special action card. To use a hotel's action, instead of discarding it, a player will play it on top of a full set that already has one house on it. Only one hotel is allowed per set, and a hotel will add an extra $4 million to the rent. Playing a slide deal card allows a player to take any one property card from another player's area and add it to their collection. They may not take another player's card if it is already part of a full set. Playing a deal breaker card allows that player to take any other player's full set of properties, including any houses or hotels they have, and add that set of properties to their player area. A forced deal allows a player to swap one of their property cards for another player's property card. Whenever a player has an action card played on them, they may stop the effects of that action card by playing a Just Say No card. The player who originally played the action card can also play a Just Say No card to cancel the effects of the Just Say No card and make their action card valid again. When a player has finished playing up to 3 cards, they will end their turn. At the end of a player's turn, they will always count the number of cards in their hand. If they have more than 7 cards in their hand, they must choose cards to get rid of until they are back down to 7 cards. Any cards they choose to get rid of will be placed back to the bottom of the draw deck. The game continues with players taking turns for as long as it takes for one player to get 3 full sets of property cards in 3 different colors. A full set will always have 2, 3, or 4 cards in it, depending on the type of property. The player who gets the 3 full sets of property cards must also declare themselves the winner during their turn only. So if a player realizes they have 3 full sets on another player's turn, they must wait until it is their turn again to declare themselves the winner.